Hey everybody, welcome to another WMS Wednesday. This is Mark Lewis. Redwood, after Redwood, because talking to Redline, I don't want to be confused too much today. So I talk about software, operations, etc. a lot. This is kind of my area. But hardware is the thing, and if you don't have the right barcoding and scanning and printers and everything, you're not going to get much done with software because that's what you got to have. So had a quick conversation with my friend Anthony Mattos, who we have on today, and I've known Anthony for over 20 years, since the mid-aughts, since my time, early days at Oracle, and he has been someone that I have referred people to and asked for counsel, etc., and somebody I trust in the industry. So brought him on today to talk about that a little bit real fast. Anthony, why don't you introduce yourself real quick?
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate you having me on Warehouse Wednesday here. So, Anthony Mattos, Redline Solutions. Redline's been around almost 30 years now, and as Mark said, kind of concentrate more on the physical kind of hardware side of these projects, these ERP, WMS rollouts. What customers are buying is, the brains of kind of what that's going to add value is that software that Mark provides at WMS. But as he alluded to, if you don't have the right device, the right scanner, right form factor, it could cause some major issues. And using that software properly, if you can't scan far enough, things like that. So that's kind of what we do. We listen, learn, we understand what the customer's needs are anywhere in North America, and provide, kind of be part of the overall solution.
Well, I'm old enough to go back to almost when barcoding didn't exist. I remember starting in the 80s and nobody really had it. I think it existed. I mean, it did, but no. And then, of course, in the 90s is when WMS exploded, et cetera, et cetera. So I think most people get barcoding. They get the gist of it. Most people, we use it every day. We buy groceries and things like that. Right. But what's hot right now? What's on the forefront? What are you seeing?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool,
You're kind of dating us a little bit, Mark, but that's fine. So, barcoding's been around forever, right? So it's pretty tried and true. But yeah, we are seeing some trends, and even in barcoding, pretty solid technology. Like we said, it's been around for, I think 50 years. If you think about when I think it was Wrigley Gum that originally started using the UPC barcode on some of their products. But a couple things that we're seeing is traditionally what we've seen is the 1D barcode, right? The black and white lines, the UPC that we see everywhere. We're seeing definitely more and more migration. This has actually been over for probably the last 5-10 years, but especially more and more now with the 2D barcode. So I don't know if you can see it, but the little 2D barcode, you're seeing it everywhere, even consumer applications for ticketing, right, on your phone, scanning QR codes, things like that. But for business, is very useful, can be very useful as well using that 2D barcode. You can put a lot more data in there. A lot more information, smaller footprints. So, 2D is definitely a growing symbology that we're using on, rack labels, product labels, even, 2D barcodes being etched down onto, glass or, things that are kind of hard to put a label on, semiconductor boards, things like that.
On the 2D, that's interesting. The thing about 2D is, you got to have pretty good resolution for that. I remember back in the days when they put a 1D 3x5 that was like 1.5 feet wide, because that's the best. How is the resolution on the hardware come?
It's the same resolution you would use to print a 1D. Nowadays you can do the same with a 2D and be able to scan it. Actually, the nice thing with 2D, you can there's redundancy you can build into the 2D, literally where you can rip half of the 2D off and still scan it. So there's so many advantages of 2D over 1D. So, and all the printers print 1D or 2D, just a font. All the devices nowadays from Zebra, Honeywell, others use image-based scanners, so they scan 1D, 2D. It doesn't matter.
So I saw your hand come up. You've got something on your hand.
You saw one of my. Yeah.
I love that stuff. I remember when those came out. God, I am old. How can that device read a 2D way up on the rack somewhere?
This is a wearable, right? So this is a hands-free. That's another trend we're seeing more and more with barcoding is, you're mobile with the device, but how about if I need to pick and pack small items? With the traditional devices, guns, scan it, put it down, use my hands, pick it up, scan it, put it down. You do that time and motion study times 1,000 or 1,000,000 picks in a year, whatever. It's a lot of wasted time. So the wearable is becoming very popular now for certain cases. Traditionally, it was really short range scanning. So you have, scan and pick and use my hands. They're starting to put better and longer range scanners. Now, you can't scan as far as, say, the traditional gun, 30, 40, 50, 60 feet away. Obviously, the size of the barcode makes a big difference on scan distance. But I could probably scan, out to, 20 feet away now with a wearable
that's
with the right size barcode. Obviously, is the caveat. But yeah, I mean, so we actually have some of the forklift drivers now using, they have a mounted tablet, this Bluetooth pair to the tablet and scanning, so they don't have to get off. But they're scanning 10, 20 feet away maybe. So yeah, I mean, it's becoming very popular, the wearable scanner.
Yeah, that's very cool. I didn't know they could scan that far. Not when I was working in hardware back in the day. So real quick, we're about halfway through, but I want to touch on some of the avant-garde stuff.
Yeah.
RFID and voice. So let's just take RFID. Maybe that's not really avant-garde anymore, but how much are you seeing that actively?
Oh, it's booming right now. RFID is growing tremendously. So I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but that same label I talked about, 2D barcode. But I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little chip and antenna in here. Yeah, so a Zebra printer, Honeywell printer, would have to have an RFID interrogator in there, but you can now print and then encode the chip with data, a lot of data, kind of like a 2D barcode. It can hold a lot more data than a 1D. But we're seeing, especially companies that have been using barcoding forever, and they're, with some of the challenges that know about, Mark. Labor is tough. It's tough to keep. It's expensive. How do I do more with less labor? How do I scan all this inventory quicker, faster? With barcode, it's great. It's much better than paper and pen. But I had to scan every barcode on that pallet. 52 cases on a pallet. I had to physically pull the trigger 52 times to scan it. With RFID, if I had an RFID mobile device, literally I could walk around that pallet. Literally in that amount of time, I scanned 52 tags. So it's I call barcode kind of a one-to-one. I pull the trigger once, I scan one barcode. With the RFID, with a mobile device, I could pull the trigger once and scan many barcodes, 52. If they're within line of sight, there's some things you got to deal with RFID. Right. But, there's even fixed readers, so dock doors. If I have a pallet, that's coming out ready to ship, I want to do a ship confirm, I could have RFID reader software and saying, hey, do I have 52 on there? Yes. Boom, it does a transaction automatic. I don't even need anybody to go physically scan anything. The fixed reader portal, RFID fixed reader portal, does it for me.
I could talk about that for a while, but we don't have time. Real fast on voice. I like it. I know it's come a long way, but in terms of practical adoption, are you seeing much of it?
We're seeing more of it. Part of it, I think, is there's more. Before it was really kind of a niche hardware software solution. There's more companies out there that are making software, voice directed picking software. There's more hardware options now to basically you could just run some of that software on any basic Android or iOS type of device. Before it was really specific to kind of set up hardware. So we are seeing, and some of the costs have come down. So I think we are seeing more. Companies use voice, in certain applications, a lot high picking, a lot of picking, having a voice tell them what to do and where to go and what to pick, there's some value there.
That's great info. Again, folks, Anthony Mattos, the man knows obviously what he's talking about. We'll have all his contact info on the link. Reach out to him if you need about hardware. Anthony, always great talking, and I hope to see you and get an opportunity and work together.
See you soon. Thanks, Mark.
All right, man.
Talk to you.
Be good.
All right, bye-bye.